the body. This is most widely distributed animal tissues that is required for the support, the attachment, the protection, the storage, the immunity, the insulation of the body. For every kind of that activity, we need different type of connective tissues. So basically, connective tissues are the most widely distributed animal tissues, and basically, this tissues contains mainly a component of that connective tissues are the cells and the matrix. The most basic composition of all that kind of body tissues are the presence of the cells and the matrix. So here we talk about, if we talk about the composition of animal connective tissue. So it mainly contains the cells and the matrix. Cells and the matrix. What is that? Suppose this is the cross section of an animal connective tissue. It contains different type of cells. Different type of cells are there. There is fluid-like ground substances. This is the ground substance, fluid-like ground substance, and scattered fibers. So basically, these are cells. The fluid is called ground substance, and these are called fibers. And remember, ground substance and fibers together forms the matrix of connective tissues. Even in the NCERT, somewhere it is written, the matrix is the part of extracellular substance. That is right. Matrix is the extracellular substance. But matrix contains both the part, fibers along with the ground substance. That's right. And if you differentiate this connective tissue with the epithelial part, one thing is very important. In comparison to epithelial tissues, connective tissues are highly vascular. We can see the abundance of blood vessel. These are the blood vessel. These are the blood vessel. We know that epithelial tissues are avascular, but most of the connective tissues are vascular. Exception may be there, like cartilages and tendon. But mostly connective tissues contains the blood vessel, and in that respect, it is a vascular structure. That's right. Now, the basic composition of the connective tissue is the kind of cells the part of fibers and the ground substance. That's right. So basically, if we talk about general type of cells that is present in connective tissues, what are that? Look at here. So type of cells, if we talk about type of cells that are present in connective tissue are, one is called fibroblast cells, second is called adipose cells, third is called plasma cells, fourth is called mast cells, the macrophage cells, even some white blood cells can be there. So typically, connective tissues contains different type of cells. There are fibroblasts cells, adipose cells, plasma cells, mast cells, macrophage cells, and white blood cells. And remember, all these kind of cells are derived from mesenchymal embryonic cells. Mesenchymal embryonic cells. Mesenchymal embryonic cells are the kind of undifferentiated cells, immature cells, that further differentiate into different type of adult connective tissue cells like fibroblast cells, adipose cells, plasma cells, mast cells, macrophagic cells, and even it contains some different type of WBCs. But basically, these are the 5 different type of most common cells are fibroblast, adipose, plasma cells, mast cells, and macrophagic cells. That's right. And remember, in the structure like bones and cartilage, we discuss about the cells like osteoblast, chondroblast. You know, blast means something sprout off or something like budding. And these blast, osteoblast, fibroblast cells are basically a kind of immature cells, and these cells divide rapidly by mitotic division, and in the bones-like structure, in the cartilage-like structure, when these osteoblasts and chondroblasts differentiate into structure like mature osteocyte or mature chondrocyte, these are the cells in which mitotic division is very slow. And that happens after the complete formation of matrix in the bones and cartilage. So remember, in the bone, there is osteoblast. In the cartilage, there is chondroblast. Osteoblast and chondroblast derived from the fibroblast cells only. That's fine. And fibroblast cells are the most abundant cells in the connective tissue. So look at here. So first cells are fibroblast. So fibroblast cells are the most abundant cells of the connective tissue. These are immature cells in which rapid mitotic division takes place. And uh, these fibroblast cells form fibers as well as the ground substance both. So basically we can say fibroblast cells are the matrix forming cells, are the matrix forming cells. Fibroblast cells are the matrix forming cells, and they are the most abundant cells of the connective tissue. And these fibroblast cells only differentiate into osteoblast cells in bones and chondroblast cells into the cartilage. That's fine. So remember all this information regarding fibroblast cells. Number 2 is the adipose cells. Adipose cells are the basically kind of cell that store the triglyceride, or we can say neutral fat. Fat storing cell, as a kind of reserve food or reserve substance in our body parts. Human beings stores food like glycogen and fat, and most of the body fat is stored in the adipose cells only. So adipose cells are the fat storing cells, or we can say this fat is also called triglycerides. Reserve source of energy, or we can say adipose, that kind of adipose, that kind of fat insulate our body also, protection, it provide protection also. Number 3 is called the plasma cells. Plasma cells are also called cartwheel cells. Cartwheel cells. And remember, this plasma cells forms antibodies. And that antibodies provides immunity. It provides defense to our body parts, or to our body. So this is basically linked with immunity or immune system, plasma cells. Number 4 is called mast cells. Mast cells are also called mastocytes. And remember, mast cells are kind of secretory cells. That secrete chemicals like histamine, the serotonin, and the heparin, a natural anticoagulant. Remember, mast cells are called secretory cells, and it secrete different kind of chemicals like histamine, serotonin, and heparin. Histamine is a very strong blood vessel dilator. It dilates the blood vessel. So basically, histamine is called blood vessel dilator. It dilates the blood vessels. It increases the diameter of blood vessel as per the requirement. This serotonin is called blood vessel constrictor. It constricts the blood vessel. It decreases the diameter of blood vessel. And heparin, we know, is a kind of natural anticoagulant. So mast cells secrete chemicals like histamine, serotonin, as well as heparin. That's fine. And the fifth number of cell is called macrophage cells. The macrophage cells. And these macrophage cells are the kind of cells that provide a kind of immunity only, and that macrophage cells involved in a process called phagocytosis, also called cell eating, or it engulfs the harmful pathogens, harmful bacteria that is moving in blood. And even macrophage cells are kind of WBC only. So WBC here, that maybe some undifferentiated kind of WBCs may be there, but that is not very much significant if you talk about the type of cells of connective tissues. So remember, these are the 5 different type of cells of connective tissue. Now, if you talk about the second component, that is the ground substance, look at what is the composition of ground substance of connective tissue.